Sorry, I forgot to mention. Ben, the character from chapter 1, he does not need to go on your list, okay? He doesn't really appear again. I'll let you know what characters you should have on your list, alright? Okay, chapter 2. Tom meets Becky. Who's Becky? It was Monday morning and Tom Sawyer was miserable. He was not feeling good. He was always miserable on Monday mornings because it meant he had to go to school. You guys understand? Tom began to scheme. He began to plan. There had to be a way, some way to avoid going to school. He could be sick and stay home. But as much as he tried, Tom could not find the least little thing wrong with himself. He thought for a little while longer and then realized that one of his upper front teeth was loose up here. This was really a lucky break. Just as he was about to begin groaning and writhing in pain, he remembered Aunt Polly's way of pulling loose teeth, so taking out a loose tooth. And Tom was in no hurry to suffer that particular pain again. So apparently, Aunt Polly has a way to take out teeth that he doesn't like. So he went back to thinking. He remembered hearing the doctor describe an illness that had laid up a patient for 2 weeks and threatened to make him lose a finger. So laid up means he had to stay home and stay in bed. Tom had a sore toe, something he hadn't looked at or thought about in days. Now he wondered if he could possibly fool Aunt Polly, so trick her. Since he didn't know the details about the illness, he figured a few loud cries of pain might do the trick. So Tom began to groan and moan with considerable spirit. Sid, who lay sleeping in the next bed, did not even stir. Tom increased the volume and frequency of his cries, but his half-brother snored on. Finally, Tom shook Sid until his sleepy eyes opened in surprise. He shook him. Tom began to groan again. "Tom! What's going on?" shouted Sid. "Oh, don't jump around so," moaned Tom. Despite Tom's protestations, so him saying don't, Sid ran downstairs to Aunt Polly to tell Aunt Polly about Tom's apparent agony, so his pain. I think he's dying," stammered Sid. "Rubbish. That's not true." "I don't believe it," snapped Aunt Polly, but she ran up the stairs as fast as she could. By the time she reached Tom's bedside, her face was white with fear. "What's the matter with you, Tom?" "Oh, Aunt Polly, it's my sore toe. It feels as if it's about to fall off." Aunt Polly sank into a chair with relief. She laughed a little, then cried a little, and then did both together. This made her feel so much better that she snapped at Tom. "Stop this nonsense. Get out of bed and get off to school immediately." All this made Tom feel quite foolish. He felt dumb. And he stopped his awful groaning immediately. "Oh, Aunt Polly," he said, "it just hurt so much I never minded my tooth at all. So I didn't even think about my tooth." Because remember, his tooth is loose. No sooner were the words out of his mouth than Aunt Polly was carefully examining the loose tooth. She was looking at it. In minutes, she had tied a loop of silk thread to the tooth and the other end of the thread to the bedpost. Tom pleaded with Aunt Polly not to pull it this way, but it was no use. She left the room, only to return moments later with a hot log from the kitchen stove. She thrust the log dangerously close to Tom's face. He jumped back and gazed in horror at the tooth dangling by a thread from the bedpost. Okay, this is awesome, guys. Okay, look at the picture, all right? So what she did, she got like a string, and she tied it to his loose tooth, okay? And then she tied the string to the bedpost, okay? So you know how a bed can sometimes have these things of wood right here or metal or whatever. So she tied the string to that and to his tooth. Then so like a fireplace, right? A fire. She got a log, so a piece of wood, that was hot because it was in the fire, and she put it in his face. Okay? So if somebody puts fire, something really hot, in front of you, your reaction is going to go like, ugh, you're going to jump back, right? So he jumped back, and the string yanked out his tooth. Isn't that crazy? That's how Aunt Polly got his tooth out. What? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. On the way to school, the obvious gap in Tom's front row of teeth attracted the attention and envy of all the other boys, so they were jealous of him. Maybe the pain was worth it after all, thought Tom. As he neared the school, he came upon Huckleberry Finn. Write that character down. Okay, I'm not going to write it down right now. Okay, because I'm just going to read. Huckleberry Finn. Write down that name. So pause the video, write it down. He's a new character. You need a lot of space for him too, okay? Huck was the son of the town drunkard and was free to come and go as he pleased. Okay, so write down a little information about who Huck is. So he's the son of the town drunkard. So his dad drinks a lot and is drunk a lot, like all the time. So Huck does whatever he wants, okay? He was always dressed in cast-off clothes and incredible rags, so he didn't have very nice clothes. He slept in doorways or empty barns and never had to go to school or church. He didn't have to go to school. In short, Huck was the envy, so everybody was jealous of... Huck was the envy of every boy in town, so all the boys in town were jealous of him. But he was treated as an outcast by their mothers, so the moms of all the boys were like, ugh, Huck Finn, don't be friends with him. We don't like him. He's an outcast. We do not deal with him, okay? So, with that paragraph that you just saw, write some information about Huck Finn on your paper. Tom waved to Huck, and the two boys got involved in a serious conversation about the best way to cure warts. You look up warts, okay? Oh, they're gross. Then Huck showed Tom a tiny tick. So it's a little insect that goes inside you and sucks your blood. That's a tick. A tiny tick that he had managed to capture. Tom's eyes lit up at the sight of the little creature, and he made a quick trade. His tooth for the tick. This little transaction made Tom late for school, and when he entered the classroom, Mr. Dobbins, the teacher, demanded an explanation. Tom was about to create, a wonderful lie when he noticed the lovely girl with the long blonde braids. Tom also noticed that the only empty desk in the room was on the girl's side next to this mysterious beauty. So back then they had two sides, boy side, girl side. Without a moment's hesitation, Tom answered, I was with Huckleberry Finn. Everyone in the class gasped. Even the teacher was astonished. No one would ever actually admit being with the town renegade, so the town outcast, the person nobody likes. In an instant, the teacher brought out the switch of hickory twigs and whipped Tom as a punishment. So do you guys know back then, the teachers could hit their students, and he had a bunch of twigs, so a bunch of branches from a tree, and would hit Tom. What if we still did that? Could you see me hitting you guys with twigs? If you say yes, Luis, Jesus, you're saying yes, aren't you? You can see me doing that. Nah, I could never do that. That's sad. That's mean. Okay. Then he ordered Tom to sit with the girls. This, of course, was exactly what Tom wanted. He quickly slid into the empty seat next to the new girl. Tom tried desperately to attract her attention. He offered her a lovely ripe peach, but she only tossed her head and looked away. Next, Tom began to draw something on his slate. A slate is a chalkboard, but it's really little, like your whiteboards that we use in class sometimes. That's what they would use back then. They didn't have paper and stuff. They would use slates. So he began to draw on his slate. He covered his work with his hand and appeared to be very involved in this activity. Soon the girl's curiosity got the best of her, and she made an attempt to see the drawing. But Tom kept on working and pretended to be totally unaware of her attentions. At last she gave in and hesitantly whispered, "Let me see it." Tom partly uncovered a drawing of a house with a brick chimney and smoke curling into a blue sky. The girl's interest grew. Soon she asked Tom to draw in people. "It's such a nice drawing," she said. "I wish I could draw." "It's easy," whispered Tom. "I'll teach you." The girl told him that her name was Becky Thatcher. Tom and Becky agreed to spend the lunch recess together, with Tom teaching her how to draw. Tom went back to his drawing, but this time he hid the slate from Becky. She begged to see it, but he refused. Finally, he gave in and showed Becky the slate. The words, "I love you," were printed in Tom's own steady handwriting. Becky blushed, but anyone could see she was pleased, so she was happy about it. He already loves her, and he told her. Like, first day of meeting her, he says that he loves her. Crazy. Okay? Other character you need to write down, Becky. All right? Now, did we find anything interesting in this chapter about Tom? What do you think? Or Aunt Polly? And I'm going to write down Aunt Polly. And how she pulls teeth. What page was that on? Page 24. Okay, is there anything else interesting about any of these characters that we want to write down? I'm going to write down for Tom, I'm going to write down he feels emotions strongly. So because he loves Becky, like, right away. I think that makes him interesting. So that's on page 30. Okay, so that's what I wrote down. Pause it and copy that if you need to, okay? If there's something else interesting you found about a character, you write it down. You don't have to write down exactly what I write down, okay? Sound good? Okay, so that's the end of chapter 2. Go on to chapter 3.